Akashic reading for the Wild Menagerie. So, since I didn't have to get the code name, I have not surrounded us in light yet. Okay, but the first thing I'm going to do, actually, I have some incense this time. So first I am going to light this. Okay. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to start with Isis here. I did surround the room already. I just haven't surrounded myself or you yet. So here we go. Okay. So we've got a block coming up on the shoulder, right shoulder, which is the father's side or the masculine side. A lot of times the father's side, though, especially the shoulder, because shoulders tend to have to do with parents, grandparents, and other ancestors and generational baggage or generational beliefs that have formed and passed down. All right. Okay, so there's this energy as I was surrounding you. There was this energy, and also as Isis was surrounding you, there was this energy like this very blasé feeling of not wanting to be in the present, not wanting to be here in a way like just a very blasé feeling. And there was also and a feeling with path, like just a very blasé feeling. Right away, there was actually a feeling of grounding, almost like needing to ground, like they were sending you grounding, but at the same time, grounding in the way of almost a fantasy-like way. So grounding your passion, your enjoyment into the physical. Where they're not separated, where they're not these two things that are distant from one another and opposite from one another, where you have this sort of la la land, you have your inner world, but it's like it can't be real. It can't become your physical reality. So there's this block with letting it pass through. Some of this has to do with what others would think. But I do get a very kind of artistic feeling with you. Oh, I think this has come up before in some other readings. With the mermaid, there was a very, very creative kind of energy and feeling. And there's a feeling that it needs to be realized and also released. So not only released, but actually realized, the full potential of it realized. And you can't really bring it to the forefront if you are not willing to, if you're not willing to pass out of this blasé phase. And they're specifically saying that if you're not willing to. And I'm seeing a door shut, but I get the feeling that you mentally shut the door. You mentally block it from becoming a concrete reality. Like, you don't want to get too crazy here. Almost like life is almost meant to be lived in a boring way. It's meant to be blasé. So there are some beliefs. And again, some of this is probably coming from generations before you about the way that life is supposed to be. The way that you are supposed to make money, the way that you are supposed to raise a family, have a family, the way that you are meant to react, interact with them and with other people, people in general, and the way that you're meant to make money, the way that you're meant to earn a living. And so, on the one hand, there's a very dissatisfied feeling, even a kind of dysfunctional feeling, but on the other hand, almost an acceptance of it. This very blasé feeling, but that there's some core belief in there that accepts that even almost wants that is the way it's supposed to be, and it is conditioned to be that way, to appear that way. It's conditioned to appear that way and be that way, whether you're truly that way or not. So to come across that way. But no, there is a feeling of be that way. So here again, there are these two energies coming in of one being the way that you truly are, and the other being the way that you've been in front of others and to the world for so long that it is an identity. You identify with this version of yourself as well. And in some ways, that's more physically real to you. Not more real to you, but more physically real to you. And there's a difference between those things. So in other words, since you cannot manifest your inner world on the outer, or you feel that you can't, and you place this block there, which was also placed upon you. This is why there are these blocks in the shoulders. The shoulders are about burdens placed upon us, beliefs placed upon us. So it's things that pass down to us from others that came before us. All right, for now, I think I am going to put this incense out. So yeah, it's almost like two versions of you. And one of them is the real you, which is more this inner world, this more fantasy. I keep getting the word crazy and creative. And I also get the word passionate, drive. But embedded in your psyche is this other way of being, and this thought that you cannot live that way here in the physical, that it cannot pass through into this reality. But you need a more creative way of living and even a means to support yourself. Otherwise, you are just, you can't connect to yourself. And maybe you can, force yourself to accept it to a degree, but you're never really going to be satisfied unless you unconditionally love yourself to the point of allowing it to express itself in its true vibratory nature, versus attempting to sort of flush that out. And they are saying that you allow it, you put it on yourself. It's not that it wasn't put on you, though, like they were saying a minute ago. It's not like it wasn't originally placed on you. So I don't even feel like this is your thought form. I feel like a lot of these beliefs have been passed down. They weren't your creations, but you listened to them. You accepted them. And they're saying, how do we clear those out? And they want you to remember lives that you have had here on this plane of existence, here in this reality, where you brought your reality through to the physical. So in the physical reality, you were your reality. You were who you are in reality. And you brought that through to the physical. And that's important for this lifetime. So they want to give you a recap of some of these lifetimes. Okay, so Atlantis is coming in right away. I get a feeling of 2 lifetimes in Atlantis. And in one you are male, and in another one you are female, but in both you are a priestess and a priest. So you're the same type of spiritual person in both of these lives. Now, this is a society that was open to this kind of behavior, to this way of thinking and believing and understanding and knowing the inner world to be true, knowing the truth of the external world also and what you can do with it. And we don't have that here in this society. We don't have that way of thinking so much now. It's not as prominent, but it's coming through. It's coming back. It's spilling out. The inner world is starting to spill out onto the outer world again. And even as the vibratory rate of the earth is in some ways decreasing, and it has been for a long time, at the same time, in other areas, it's starting to raise again. There is a shift taking place, and the earth is raising frequency again. And this has to do with people who are on it. People are the decision makers on Earth right now, more than the animal kingdom or the plant kingdom. People are given that responsibility, whereas the animal and plant kingdoms are reflections of us, especially the animal kingdom. They are reflections of us. They reflect back to us the state that we are in. And so we sort of give them cues. We sort of give them cues as to how to behave, how to be, what to reflect. At the same time, they teach us a lot. They teach us a lot about how to be and how to live in peace and harmony, at the same time as reflecting negativity back to us, as reflecting our own fears and our own behaviors back to us. But this is spilling out. It's beginning to override. This higher energy is beginning to override these lower energies. But we can only do that. We can only push it so far by hanging back. We can only go so far if we are hanging back and not being an example. Yes, other people are that way, but they don't stick you in a container. You're the one who puts yourself in a box or doesn't. There are plenty of people out of the box, there are plenty of people in the box, but we all put ourselves in the boxes that we're in. And we have to take responsibility for those boxes, which means letting ourselves out. So you shut the door, but you can open it. You have the key. The key is in your hand, and it's your responsibility to do that. For who you are to come out, to come through, and not care about what anybody else is thinking or what anybody else has boxed themselves in, what box somebody else is in, what box all the people around you are in, and what they're going to feel towards you if you are letting yourself out of the boxes you were put in and you placed yourself in or you agreed with in front of them. When you step out of boxes, people do notice that. They have to look at themselves. People don't really like doing that. Like, even for instance, even when people just change their diet, even if somebody attempts to go vegan or they do go vegan or raw vegan even something more simple like vegetarian. This is something that people really notice, especially vegan, especially once you get into vegan or raw vegan. Even that, for instance, that's not even being crazy. That's just a diet change. But normal people eat all of this meat. Even sometimes just, if a person isn't listening to the same music as normal people listen to, or most people listen to, which is mostly pop music. So if you put someone who's listening to classical music, for instance, and obviously a lot of people listen to classical music, people listen to all different types of music, but as a for instance, if you put someone who's listening to classical music in a group of people who all thrive on rock music, they're going to really notice that person, and they're not going to like the music that they're into, and they will let them know, sort of thing. And your guides are saying, that might be a bad example, that might not be the best example, but you get the point, you get the idea. Someone doesn't like someone else's creative outlet or their way of expressing themselves or a career. Somebody doesn't like that someone else got to choose for themselves, whereas they were an accountant, they've been an accountant for their whole life, or a cashier, or a clerk, and that is what they're going to be. Maybe they had some dreams, some aspiration, before they were a cashier, but then they decided, I need to make a living, I need to earn money, I need to do it in this way, and I'm not supported to do it in another way, to do it in a different way. This is my calling, to be blasé. So I'm gonna play the role. I'm gonna act blasé here and just be normal. But you're not. In your case, so I'm gonna be normal, but I'm not. I'm not actually normal. And so then there are these two very conflicting ideas and these two conflicting realms. So your job, your guides are saying, is to bring yourself through here. Bring your divinity through into the physical reality, into the physical realm. And don't mask it. Don't hide it. And don't accept blasé. You don't have to live in that box. You don't have to confine yourself. You can be free. And no one is actually imposing this on you. No one is imposing this on you other than yourself. It doesn't matter who else is around you. It doesn't matter who is living with you. It doesn't matter about your family. It doesn't matter that you have to earn a living. Why can't you do it in a way that isn't blasé to you, in a way that you enjoy? Why can't you do that? You can. You can do that. So they're saying, so this is just something to think about how, not think, oh, I could never do that, and just accept it. Automatically, without trying, just allowing yourself to be shut down and hidden, they're saying. So they're saying, don't allow that. Just don't allow it anymore. And they're saying, it's not blasé. They don't want you to feel blasé. They want you to get angry. That's what they want. This isn't about feeling okay, feeling nonchalant, feeling bored, but okay with it at the same time, okay with being bored. Accepting that your true nature is a different way than you're presenting outwardly on the physical, but at the same time, not really doing anything to change that, they're saying. So they're saying this is about how. So they're saying your priority needs to be, how can I fix this? How can I do what I love? And have the possibility in your mind that the door can open. The door is reachable. The key is inside your pocket. Take it out. And you're going to show yourself how. But right now, when this idea of there is a way, there is an answer, when that even is shoved down, when that is not really allowed out and you feel a victim to what you've sort of been tossed into in society, then how can the exact actions to take come to the forefront either if the possibility of them coming to the forefront isn't really accepted by you, your guides are saying. They're showing me another priestess lifetime, and this feels Egyptian, but it's kind of odd what they're showing me. But they're showing me a snake, and they're showing me that you're going into this trance. You're going into a trance. This is a live snake. This is a live snake that they're showing me. They are saying that. This is a live snake. But this is a tame snake. I even almost get the feeling that you tamed it. And this is your snake. And I keep getting a feeling of Hathor as well. And I just get the feeling of this very like primal goddess creation type of energy. And you have this kind of wild energy with you. You're not at all boxed in, even for the time period. You're pretty out there, and you are allowed to be, because you are spiritual. So there is a freedom in that. Whereas other people in the culture have to live by certain rules to allow them to gain to allow them to gain access to respect, or even if they are someone with a title, it really depends on what the title. If they're someone with a lot of authority, then yeah, they can do what they would like. They can do what they wish. Like if you're Pharaoh or something, you can do whatever you want. But other people really have to live by the rules. And it's not like you are, necessarily really, really high up or something, but somehow you're not confined just because you're spiritual. That's the reason. It's because, okay, that's why that word title is coming in. It's because you have this spiritual title and you are a priestess. It feels like you're a priestess of Hathor. Hathor keeps coming in, but I do feel other deities as well. I get a feeling of Sobek. I get a feeling of Anubis. I get a feeling of Isis, Ra. It may be Amun-Ra or maybe Ra. There's also this masculine energy, but he feels connected to the moon. I don't know what Egyptian deity that is. But he feels like he has a night connection or a moon connection. I feel Set also. Or maybe that is even Set coming in. There might be another deity as well, but I am feeling Set, which is odd to me. Actually, that really doesn't strike me as odd, just because of this energy that I'm feeling from you in this lifetime. You would worship Set. You would. You would worship the balance of chaos and harmony. And you would love that. You would really resonate with that. You would get like a charge from that because you're very free, and in some ways you're very chaotic yourself. So you kind of come across in a little bit of a bizarre way, but it's like you're allowed to because you are a priestess. But yeah, you go into these trances, you go into these trance states, and you have this live snake with you, but you're going into this trance. And she seems to really travel dimensions when she goes into trances. Like I see like the white of your eyes. There's a feeling of clairvoyance as well, but especially this feeling of going into a trance and traveling into other worldly dimensions. And not even just otherworldly dimensions, other dimensions that exist here on this earth plane as well. Oh, and I get a feeling of astral travel as well. You're very good at astral projection. Like you had that down. You knew how to astral project yourself. And you really had a lot of power in this lifetime. You're just a very, very charismatic, powerful person. You were just very wild, very free. And yet you didn't seek any kind of fame or attention. You just loved being who you are. And you love that you can, yes, travel into other dimensions, but at the same time, you can have this physical life here, and your reality can come through here in this way as well. So you have a live snake with you. This is not just some vision or something. This is a real snake. They're saying pet. I'm not that into the word pet, but yeah, this is, yeah, there's, yeah, companion. But this is your, yeah, this is your companion animal. But I understand why they would use that word, because that just, like, it's a way of describing what the animal is. That it is your companion. There's something about this snake. You feel like somehow it gives you a connection to Hathor and to other deities as well. And it also gives you a connection to your own spirits. Oh, and there's some other deity coming in, and Let me try and look this up real fast because, yeah, okay, that is his name, right? Is that his name? Okay. Okay. His name was coming in Ka, and I couldn't find him right away. And I'm trying to think, who was this? Okay. But then they're reminding me he's the god of magic. So I put that in, and it comes in Heka. Okay. So anyway, she was also worshiping this deity as well, or connecting to this deity as well. And this was sort of allowing her to free her spirit sort of on the world. She felt like that was something that needs to be done. You need to almost loose your spirits onto the planet and onto your physical form, and it needs to lead and direct your physical form, and it needs to have total freedom to be who it is in your lifetime. So in that lifetime, you really had that down, but it's because you were allowed to do it. You didn't face a challenge of being restricted to allow yourself that kind of freedom. You didn't have a society imposing something else onto you. You were able to go into this priestesshood, and you were able to live this life fairly easily. It wasn't something that you really had to push for or that you had to claim. So this is more of a test for you. It's, can you connect to your power in the midst of this blasé, confining environment? Can you do that? She's very into this word, ka. This word just keeps coming in over and over and over. And I know in Egypt, that was like the word for your spirit, your soul. She's very into this feeling of loosing. There's also a feeling of breath, almost loosing your breath onto your physical body, onto the world, like a spirit breath. So your spirit breathes out onto the world, and it connects to the physical, and it connects to who you are in a physical way. So as a physical being. And you are it, and you become it physically. I mean, this is the teachings that the council embodies. Very much so. And in this lifetime, she is a healer, and she goes into these trances, but some of these trances are just in her spare time. She enjoys traveling to other dimensions, sometimes just sometimes just inwardly, and other times through astral projection, astral projecting herself. And she's able to see herself somewhere else, like in the room around her, and just focus her energy there. And then as her body falls to sleep, she will just go there. And she's very good at disconnecting from her body. And yet she's very also good at connecting to her body. I also get a feeling that you love all the deities equally. That you're into all of the deities kind of equally, but at the same time, you find that some methods work better for you. And you find that you come out more by connecting in a certain way and with certain energies. And Hathor does feel like the primary energy that you connect with. And there are a lot of methods and tools that you prefer that have to do with her. So she is a tool to you. Because I don't know, this whole time, I don't really get this sense of exactly worshiping these deities or loving them in exactly this devotion kind of way, exactly. Like this way of worshiping them and loving them, you know, loving God and this type of thing. She has very much a very independent streak. And in a sense, they're more tools to her. And that is because, and that's really more how it should be. You know, she should be attempting to connect to her own power, and she can use methods which have to do with connecting to other entities, but they're not above her. So she is using certain tools in a sense, you could even say she's using them to gain access to herself, but at the same time, it's an equal exchange. So it's not like a negative using, but it is like a tool that she uses, and they are in a sense that tool. They help her to connect to herself. And they equally gain something from this exchange. So they help one another. But also she sees them as a means to connect to herself, because in a sense they are herself. She sees them in that way, that they can be aspects of herself and yet separate entities on their own. But they can show her, reveal to her parts of herself. Okay, so they want me to do a bit more clearing. Okay, so I have my rose quartz here. Okay, so this energy, this fantasy-like energy is up here. And so what your guides want me to work on is actually pulling this energy down. It needs to come down more through these other chakras. And actually the other energy that I was getting when I was seeing this snake was also that it represents the Kundalini. And so it represents this connection that all of these chakras have to one another. And so this energy, in order to be grounded, it needs to pass really from your head to your feet. It needs to pass down into the earth. It needs to pass through all of the chakras, all of the lower chakras. It needs to pass down through. And so in that way, you need to become more grounded. You need to ground a very specific energy to earth. You need to ground the energy of who you are, of yourself, and of your creative power, your creativity, your ambition, your passion. What you really would want to do, what you really value, and who you are. And that should be your life. That should be the life that you're living. It shouldn't be stuck or contained in one area just because it's not acceptable to other people who will view it here. They're saying that to other viewers here. They're saying they're just a viewer. They are just someone with a point of view. That is just their perception. That is all it is. And you're just running into people who have this perception to show you, again, to test you, to say, are you going to care what I think? Are you going to do what you want to do? Are you going to live free? Are you going to live in the way that you want to live? Are you going to express yourself in the most appropriate, most abundant, passionate, invigorating way that is divinely you? Or are you going to express yourself but in a hidden way and in an unhappy way, where it is just held in, it's not allowed out freely, there's no exchange of energies coming towards you? And your guides can't really express themselves either in the way that they would really want to, in the way that they would want to help you embrace who you are and move freely upon planet Earth in this lifetime. So there are goals that they have that you contracted with them to get through to you, that they're not able at this point to get certain things through to you, because there are certain realizations and certain actions that need to be done. And again, it needs to become a how. How do I make this shift? How do I make this happen? How do I create this shift? And that needs to be the new dialogue. That needs to be the new way of thinking, embracing who you are and embracing who you are physically on planet Earth, not out there. So you came here for a reason, and you need to be who you are in a physical way. And people need to see this. They need to see this expression of you. And it's okay to be different and to feel good about that. And it's okay to feel good, not only blasé, because that's also part of what this belief says. And again, this came from someone else. So this is somebody else in there. So I'm not saying it's like a conscious thought, necessarily of you're not supposed to feel good here, or it's not okay to feel good here. But that is the belief in there. That is one of them. That kind of came to you. There is this feeling that the earth is not designed at this point for humans to operate in a divine capacity. It would be a stretch for humanity, and they're just not ready for it yet. But individuals are. And those individuals are going to stand out, but that's good. That's fine. That's just a natural occurrence. It's not asking for attention. All you're doing is being who you are. If they notice it in a negative way, they are just viewing you. They are just a viewer with a certain view, with a certain angle of perception. And that is their perception. It is for their own reasons and not your own. It has nothing to do with you. Everybody can look at a cow, in a pasture. One person is barely going to notice the cow. They're going to start talking about the pasture. They're going to talk about the grass. Other people are going to say, the pasture is ugly. Some people are going to say the cow is ugly. Some people are going to say, oh, the cow is fit. Some people are going to say that cow is smart. There's going to be a million different things. Some people are going to notice you. Other people aren't going to notice you. Some people are going to notice what you're wearing. Other people aren't. Some people are going to notice your mental capacity. Some people are going to notice you emotionally or in a creative way. Some people are going to notice you more in an energetic way. Some people just aren't going to notice you at all. They're not going to care. And this is just to be expected. But they are all, in a sense, versions of you. Because they're all giving you this opportunity to look inside of yourself through what they are saying, by the perception that they are giving you, that they are putting towards you. So that is just an opportunity for growth. It's just an opportunity to look within yourself and see how you are affected by this. What does it make you want to do? Does that make you want to shut down? Does it make you angry? Anger can be good. This kind of anger would be good to have. It would be a fire to set things in motion that are good for yourself. Okay, your guides do not want to go for a whole 90 minutes. They want to split up this reading. So they want me to do an hour reading and a half-hour reading rather than do the full 90 minutes in one shot. For some reason, that's how they want to do it. Okay, so we're going to end this reading with more clearing. Okay, so I still have my rose quartz here. Okay, so yeah, this isn't exactly a clearing. This is bringing these energies down. It is, though, because obviously there are going to be energies that have to be cleared for this to come down. But at the same time, this can only come down through physical actions in order to come down permanently. So, in other words, I can push it down with the help of your guides and the crystals also, or statues if I use Isis at all, but it's only actions that are going to keep it there permanently. Otherwise, it's just going to go back up. I'm feeling the other shoulder now. Whew, I feel a thought form in that shoulder. Oh, this feels reptilian. This feels like a reptilian belief here. The council calls these thought forms reptilian seeds. So basically, it is a thought form that was created through a reptilian suggestion, in other words. And these tend to be very widespread. So they tend to be more core beliefs, like even things like I have to sleep, I have to age, I have to die, I have to get old, I have to get sick, this kind of thing, or even I have to breed. All these types of programmings. Not to say that people would not breed, but certainly there are programmings to do with that at the same time, because it's about survival. And a lot of the reptilian core beliefs tend to do with fear. And a lot of them they're very fear driven and emotionally driven. Whereas like a gray thought form would be more mentally driven. But a reptilian seed tends to be more emotion driven and fear based. And these do take on snake-like forms or reptilian type forms. This one has to do with what other people think. And it has to do with hiding who you are. And not being who you are, not being who you came here to be. And you don't want to pass this one down. This is in the shoulder. It was passed down to you, as often these reptilian beliefs are. They are normally generational, almost always generational. The only times they're not generational is if a thought form sort of jumps ship. Somebody else who isn't a member of their family or something just happens to agree with this thought form, and that thought form now goes to this person because they feel like they can feed off this person more. They can get more energy from this person. So in other words, these thought forms are never new thought forms. These are always old thought forms, these reptilian seeds. Okay. Okay, so I brought the energy down to the shoulders. And then there were a lot of things that were really, really attempting to keep it there. However, it is in the throat region, though, this energy. And the throat has to do with will, and it has to do with creativity, power to manifest, and speaking out about your desires and the things that you want. So that is a good place to start anyway. All right, so we are done with this part of the reading. So thank you very much once again. Wild Menagerie for allowing me to do this reading and clearing for you. Thank you very much. Namaste.